I have no desire to help you. You forget that. It has nothing to do with me. Alan, think of the position I am in. Just before you came, I was dying of terror. You may know terror yourself someday. No, don't think of that. Look at it from the scientific point of view. You don't ask questions where the dead things for your experiments come from. Don't ask them now. I have told you too much, as it is. We were friends once, Alan. Don't speak about those days, Dorian. They are dead. Please, Alan, the man upstairs will not go away. Alan, if you don't help me, I am ruined. Why, they will hang me, Alan. Don't you understand? They will hang me for what I have done. There is no good in continuing our talk. I will not do anything in the matter. It is mad of you to ask me. You refuse? Yes, it is useless. The same look of pity came into Dorian Gray's eyes. Then he stretched out his hand, took a piece of paper, and wrote something on it. He read it over twice and pushed it across the table. Then he got up and went over to the window. Campbell looked at him in surprise, and then took up the paper and opened it. As he read it, his face became pale, and he fell back in his chair. A horrible sense of sickness came over him. He felt as if his heart was beating itself to death. After 2 or 3 minutes of terrible silence, Dorian turned round and came and stood behind him, putting his hand upon his shoulder. I am so sorry for you, Alan, he said, but you leave me no choice. I have a letter written already. Here it is. You see the address. If you don't help me, I must send it. If you don't help me, I will send it. You know what the result will be. But now you are going to help me. It is impossible for you to refuse now. Now it is for me to dictate terms. Campbell buried his face in his hands. Yes, it is my turn to dictate terms, Alan. You know what they are. The thing is quite simple. The thing has to be done. Face it and do it. Come, Alan, you must decide at once. I cannot do it, he said mechanically, as though words could change things. You must. You have no choice. Is there a fire in the room upstairs? Yes. I shall have to go home and get some things from the laboratory. No, Alan, you must not leave the house. Write out what you want, and my servant will bring the things back to you. Campbell wrote a note to his assistant. Dorian took the note up and read it carefully. Then he rang the bell and gave it to his servant. He ordered him to return as soon as possible and to bring the things with him. As the door shut, Campbell started nervously. He got up from the chair and went to the fireplace. For nearly 20 minutes, neither of the men spoke. A fly buzzed noisily about the room, and the ticking of the clock was like the beat of a hammer. As the clock struck 1, Campbell turned round, and looking at Dorian Gray, saw that his eyes were filled with tears. You are terrible, absolutely terrible, he said quietly. Hush, Alan, you have saved my life, said Dorian. Your life? Good heavens! What a life that is! You have gone from corruption to corruption, and now you have committed the crime. In doing what I am going to do, what you make me do, it is not of your life that I am thinking. Ah, Alan, said Dorian, I wish you had 1,000th part of the pity for me that I have for you. He turned away as he spoke and stood looking out at the garden. Campbell made no answer. After about 10 minutes, a knock came to the door, and the servant entered carrying a large bag full of chemicals. "Shall I leave the things here, sir?" he asked Campbell. "Yes," said Dorian. "What is the name of the man who sells the best orchids in London?" "Harden, sir." "Yes, Harden. You must go to him at once, see Harden personally, and tell him to send twice as many orchids as I ordered, and to have as few white ones as possible. In fact, I don't want any white ones." "No trouble, sir. At what time shall I be back?" Dorian looked at Campbell. "How long will your experiment take, Alan?" he said in a calm, indifferent voice. The presence of a third person in the room seemed to give him extraordinary courage. Campbell bit his lip. "It will take about 5 hours," he answered. "It will be time enough, then, if you are back at 7:30, Francis. Or stay. Just leave my things out for dressing. You can have the evening to yourself. I'm not dining at home, so I shall not want you." "Thank you, sir," said the man, leaving the room. "Now, Alan, there is not a moment to be lost. How heavy this chest is! I'll take it for you. You bring the other things." They left the room together. When they reached the locked room, Dorian took out the key and turned it in the lock. Then he stopped, and a troubled look came into his eyes. "I don't think I can go in, Alan," he said. "It is nothing to me," said Campbell coldly. Dorian half opened the door. As he did so, he saw the face of his portrait in the sunlight. On the floor in front of it, the curtain was lying. He remembered that the night before he had forgotten, for the first time in his life, to hide the fatal canvas. What was that terrible red thing on one of the hands? It was blood. How horrible it was! More horrible, it seemed to him for the moment, than the silent dead thing at the table. He quickly came into the room and covered the picture with the cloth. He heard Campbell bringing in the heavy bag and the other things that he needed for his dreadful work. He began to wonder if he and Basil Hallward had ever met, and if so, what they had thought of each other. "Leave me now," said a voice behind him. He turned and hurried out. As he was going downstairs, he heard the key being turned in the lock. It was long after 7 when Campbell came back into the library. He was pale, but absolutely calm. "I have done what you asked me to do," he said. "And now goodbye. Let us never see each other again." "You have saved me from ruin, Alan. I cannot forget that," said Dorian simply. As soon as Campbell had left, he went upstairs. There was a horrible smell of nitric acid in the room, but the dead thing that had been sitting at the table was gone.